like.
Off would be bugged.
Oh,
Very lovely. Isn't that marvellous? Are we having technological thingies working? I'm so pleased.
They seem to be. Just gotta wait for the audio stream to sort itself out.
Oh,
Bobby's producing.
Producing, is he?
He's
Bob is
producing.
the Lord High Button Pusher.
Yes.
Behold the Lord High Button Pusher, and Robert there of very largely staturing. Oh, what are you doing?
We need to make him advance, you know.
I say, isn't that marvellous? Are we having technological thingies working? I'm so pleased.
You need to mute your playback.
Shut up, I've done it.
Yeah, you got it. I was just trying to figure out whose it was because I had that many windows open.
I was trying to work out which of the 43 streams I've got coming down it was.
Yes, that. I think it's that one I made.
It's sorted now.
It's switching between shots like a good one. I'm impressed, I am.
It's working well. I shouldn't have said that. Touch something.
Touch something.
Yes, touch something.
I touched something.
Where's your cat?
Hey, stop smiling. What was it you touched?
I don't know if I'm touching it again later. Just to find out what it is under the desk, dirty-minded people. God!
I was going to say, Sam, if you don't know now, there's something a rift.
Nearly spat coke on keyboard.
You don't want to do that.
No.
You don't want to be spitting your coke on your keyboard, darling.
Nah.
Sniff it up your nose.
Or let it come down your nose, that's even better.
Waste of money, that.
Cleaned your bogies out.
Nice.
Great start of the show, that one, Keef.
Yes, I thought so.
Now,
Let it come down your nose, wash your bogies out.
Change the subject.
Yes, change the subject. Pardon, Keith, now what? I was going to say, hedgehogs, have he? So Keith stood on the burning deck, picking his nose like mad. He rolled it up in little balls and flicked it at his dad.
That's changed a bit from earlier on, Dave.
Only just a touch.
Just a touch, or
Now I'm being on my best behaviour tonight. I'm not going to do any accents because Ian's not there to take the piss out of.
no, he's on his honeymoon.
Honeymoon? Yeah. Going to New York City. Of all the places for a bloody vapor to go, New York.
I know.
Jesus, honestly. Seriously. I hope that lass is not bored with sex, because otherwise there's going to have no today, are they?
Do you think he's going to be going around all the vape shops, checking them out?
He's probably going to go around all the vape shops getting chucked out.
Probably.
Oh, what's this you've got? A bottle of juice, is it? How many milligrams of nicotine you got in that then? I've nice that. And by the way, whose tank is this dripper?
I wondered how long it was going to be. We're only 4 minutes into the preview.
Do you know the thing is, Keith, I've heard that sentence so often from my wife. I wondered how long it was going to be. It's even worse when it's followed up by, "You're such a disappointment to me."
I'll actually get some effect from this vapor in a minute. I won't have to blow it straight out.
Suck it harder. I've said that a lot as well.
4 minutes.
Let's try that again, shall we? I'm giving up on that.
Rob Tiffy said,
I'm going to stealth vape.
stealth vape. I would stealth vape if I was you.
It's not worth it.
John Summers is now the proud owner of Aspire Triton. He hath a Triton.
I want one of them.
Yes, me too.
Me too.
Me too. No. Oh, sorry. No. I've got one.
Yes, I know. It's alright for some. My laptop's up the spout, so I can't see chat tonight.
3 minutes.
3 minutes. His laptop's up the spout. His laptop's up the spout. You're the idea. His laptop's on the spout.
Yes, it's connected.
Discomboberated it is.
It is, yes.
I've only had the thing 14 years.
Nearly.
We're very, very fond of each other. We want to be
Together. Yes, I remember when that advert came in.
Ashley Miller had the Triton and sold it. Could have sold it to me, I think.
Yes, could have sold it to me.
And me.
VB's telling lies.
Shocking.
What's he saying?
I stealth vape all the time, but for some reason people keep asking me what the hell it is I'm using. That's because it looks like a briefcase.
Or a wardrobe.
Someone said wardrobe, didn't they?
Yeah. Like a bloody My Little Pony castle. What? Anyone figured out what the diff is in settings for the SS coils on the VT? Stainless steel coils, only wattage, no power, no temperature control.
There you go then.
Morph has a Triton.
Everybody getting a Triton except me and Sarah and
me.
Sab and
Bob.
No, DD's got one. Bob hasn't got one.
$29.99 at Midlands Vaping. Just thought I'd tell you.
Right.
1 minute.
Uno minuto.
Max Drums bought a Triton, but the wife pinched it off him.
Charming.
No.
It's murder when your wife gets her hands on your Triton, isn't it?
Yes.
For anybody wondering, that's a Triton with pure VG.
Nice.
I'm thinking so. I just got the picture of
30
the cat.
seconds.
30 seconds.
Got the bug any time from now, Bob.
And good evening, everybody, and welcome to this show. We've got a bit of a packed show for you this evening. I'm joined tonight by Sarah Jakes. Good evening, Sarah.
Evening, Keef. How are you?
I'm alright, and how are you?
Oh, pretty good, thank you.
Oh yeah, you had an interesting weekend up there in Bonnie, Scotland.
It was a fabulous weekend. I'll tell you all about it.
Yes, we'll have a chat about that a bit later.
Yeah.
I'm also joined by our very own Mr. Dawn. Evening, Mr. Dawn.
Good evening to you too. It's nice to see you. I've been to Scotland as well.
And I see your accent's changed a little bit.
Sure, it's a Brabrick Moonlight neck the neck up there. You know, it was fabulous. I'll tell you all about it later, like Sarah.
Yes, you will. If I can understand you, that is. I might need a bit of a one of those international translator thingy-majiggies.
That's a two-way street, Keith.
Yeah, one of them things. Yeah, probably. But first of all, I want to talk about the recent Lancet article that came out that was kind of shedding a bit of doubt on the Public Health England report. So, Sarah, what did you think about this Lancet article that came out?
Honestly, I thought it was disgusting.
Me too.
I mean, it was an obvious attempt to undo the purpose of the PHE report, which was to tell smokers and the general public the real truth about the safety differences between smoking and cigarettes, because several surveys have shown, as we all know, that a significant number of people now believe that e-cigarettes are at least as dangerous as smoking. Or even if they do think it's safer, then they've got no idea about how much safer. So the idea of the PHE report was obviously to correct those misconceptions, and then straight on the heels of that, almost as if they knew it was coming, they come out with basically an anonymous editorial which throws doubt on the 95% figure on the basis that, well, pretty much on the basis that one or two of the scientists on one of the 185 studies that they relied on in the PHE report may have previously done some consultation work for an e-cigarette company.
Yeah.
You couldn't make it up, could you?
Well, that was it, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
They based their whole article on the fact that I think it was two of the members of the study. The nut study were... Yeah. I think they were. One had links with. One had links with the e-cigarette wholesale. With, I think it was a distribution company, wasn't it?
I don't think it's even links. I mean, if you're talking about Ricardo Peloso, it's not even links. He once did some analysis work for an e-cigarette company.
Yeah.
So, these people will say to us till they're blue in the face, well, industry should be working out how much safer it is. It shouldn't be down to public money. Industry should be supplying this information. So who's going to do the work if people like Ricardo Peloso don't do it?
Well, exactly.
Industry goes out and hires people to do the work that they believe needs doing, and then those people are then forever put down as big vapor shills. If you've ever met Ricardo Peloso, he's one of the most transparent, honest people you'd ever hope to meet.
Well, this is it. I mean, when the study was first done, I mean, they did say at the outset that they had these links, didn't they?
Yeah.
Well, this is, if I can jump in, if you don't mind.
No, carry on, Dave.
When the Public Health England report was published, there were links to all of the online versions of all of these studies that were done. So all of the conflicts of interest had been declared. The declarations of interest had been made in all of these studies. And if these people, and I'm not going to say Dickie Horton or anything like that, but if they were that bloody bothered, why didn't they click the links and go and see the COIs there? Because it's totally transparent. It's there. If they've worked for Pfizer, if they've worked for J&J, if they've worked for McNeil, if they've worked for whoever, Everything's there in all of these studies. It doesn't matter what the declaration of interest is, it's there. They couldn't be bloody bothered. And there's been people on Twitter over the last week who cannot be asked to click a link and go and find a conflict of interest. They won't do the homework. They want it served up to them on a plate. That's what they're saying. But in actual fact, what it is an amateurish attempt to rubbish the research and the review that's been done by McNeil and Hayek and try to say that those two are in the pocket of big vapor, which doesn't exist. Sorry,
exactly. Well, that's what they base this whole article on, isn't it? Really.
I think it goes further than that. It's thoroughly insulting to the scientists that they picked out, and basically it's defamatory. I would love to see them haul them over the coals for it, because what they're suggesting is that having done some work previously for an industry, and presumably any industry, that those people are then incapable somehow of producing unbiased science. Now, I have to wonder if the people who wrote that are kind of looking at themselves in the mirror when they write that. Perhaps they're unable to do that, and so they assume nobody else is able to do it.
Well, the question is just being asked in chat. Should the conflicts of interests be in the review? Now, like many other people, I suppose, I've read many reviews, overviews like this, and never, ever are conflicts that have been declared in individual studies that have been reviewed. They're never declared in the review. Why?
No, you couldn't put the conflict of interest of 185 studies in a review. You'd need, it would be twice as long as it was before. But at the same time, I think what they're saying is that there should have been, I don't know, something in the description or something in the review that made that point. But you can make that point about any study, anywhere, anytime, and any review, anywhere, anytime. It's only when it becomes relevant. If anybody was sitting there and saying, well, we can see how that conflict of interest affected the outcome of this study because blah, really, that you'd make a big deal of it. But no one that I've seen criticise or support the Lancet commentary has come out with a figure of their own. That's presumably because there isn't an actual figure on the basis that they want it. No. But more to the point, none of them have actually said why either the review or the nut study are wrong, in their opinion. So, it seems to me that all it is just mudslinging, throwing their toys out the pram, potentially very damaging. But then I would also say that I've spoken to an awful lot of vendors, a few in Scotland and a few in the UK, the rest of the UK recently. And what they're seeing is a huge upsurge in smokers going into vape shops and asking for starter kits.
And that is exactly what the people at the Lancet don't want.
Yeah, and that's probably why they've written this article.
Yeah, I'm sure that was the intention, Keith, absolutely. I'm sure it was.
I mean, here's a question. Do you think that the media were wrong when they came out with this 95, when they put the big headline out about the 95% figure? Do you think the media were wrong to do that?
No, the media weren't. The headline of the PHE press release was the 95% figure, because the whole point of that PHE report was to correct the imbalance in the beliefs of the public on the relative safety. That was the whole point of the report. That's why they made it the headline of the press release. That was what it was for, and it seems to have been successful despite the best efforts of those who would oppose us. Put it that way.
Yeah, the reason I asked that question is because in the Lancet they cite that as like a big reason that I'm losing my flow here a bit.
No, I know where you're going with that one, Keith. They're using that as a reason to rubbish it because they reckon that you can't put a hard and fast figure on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's the thing, though. There is nothing on the planet that's 100% safe, right?
No, we know that.
These headphones I'm wearing now, I'm going to say that one time out of 20 million, there might be a little bit of some kind of electronic loop goes and fries me brain. And that's the risk I'm prepared to take. When it comes down to this 95% figure, if they want us to be absolutely brilliantly positively accurate about it, they're going to be really, really disappointed, because in my book, the figure is in excess of 97%. That was actually said. There was a BBC program, BBC radio program, where one of the authors of the Nut Report said, look, if you actually take out I think it was harms to the pocket, it was a money harm, and there was another thing that's kind of completely inconsequential, that it would drop to 97%. And then there are other bits and bobs that kind of don't compute, because they apply more to the likes of heroin and cocaine and so on and so forth. The actual figure is probably closer to 99.9%. So if they really want to get antsy about this, if they really want to put their necks on the line, then I'm absolutely certain that the evidence is there to show that e-cigs are at least as safe as authorised medicines. That's my feeling on it. Not to say that they could ever qualify as a medicine, because they wouldn't. But when you look at other medicines that are out there, I mean, there is a reason that you can only buy a bottle of aspirin that's got so many tablets in, because if you take too many, you die. The same applies to cocodamol. The same applies to all sorts of other drugs that you buy over the counter. Nothing is inherently or innately safe. They've all got a risk, and I dare bet that if you applied the same kind of criteria to all of these over-the-counter medicines, you'd find that they had a risk value that would be 95% lower than smoking cigarettes. If they want to get into that argument, I'm quite happy to sit and chew the fat with the buggers, because I don't think they've got a leg to stand on.
Well, let's go to the next question that I wrote down. The Lancet suggested that the conflict of interest by Big Tobacco has influenced the PHE report. Why do you think they're doing this?
Big Tobacco conflict of interest? I don't think there was any tobacco conflict of interest. I mean, you know, the ones that they're talking about, I believe, were e-cigarette manufacturers. Why they're doing it? I mean, you know, they're doing it for the same reason they do all of these things. They just don't like e-cigarettes. They've got an ideological standpoint on anybody continuing nicotine use. You know, I think you're going back to what Dave was just saying about the 95% figure as well. There will never be a definitive figure for e-cigarettes, because, as we all know, the vast majority of people who take up e-cigarettes are ex-smokers. So even if, you know, in 20 years down the line, you won't know, you know, which of whatever harms people find themselves suffering from have been caused by smoking, and which might have been caused by e-cigarettes. I mean, you know, you've really only got what the authors have already gone on, which is toxicology, to come to the estimate. Now, you know, the people who wrote, whoever they were, who wrote the anonymous Lancet thing, I think it's obvious. I mean, it's obvious what they were trying to do. You know, they were trying to neutralise the PHE report. You know, it's as simple as that, and it's on an ideological basis, because, you know, whether it's because they just don't like e-cigarettes, or they don't like nicotine use, or whatever it is, or, you know, there might be an element of, well, we didn't think of it, so we're going to kill it. You know, and there's other people who perhaps have the slightly more extreme view that because it kills their income stream. You know, for the people who I suspect wrote the Lancet report, I don't think that's necessarily relevant to them, because they've got, you know, other things, and they're not purely tobacco controllers. So I don't think that's the motivation, but I think it's the kind of there's this kind of socialist background to a lot of their opinions, whereby they're just against any industry that profits. So where you've got an industry that profits out of something that they see as an addictive substance.
Yeah.
You know, they see all consumers as, you know, not free-thinking, free-willed people who, you know, vape because they want to vape. They see them as the victims of these evil corporations that hook them and then keep them. And we're all too stupid to even know that that's been done to us. We all think we love vaping, but actually it's because we've been hooked by Big Vape into being addicted to their product. It just seems bizarre.
Where does that leave Jack Straw, though, Sarah? Because, I mean, he said himself he's been addicted to the nicotine gum for 7 years. But
Exactly.
I'm sorry, of course, I forgot the nicotine and the nicotine gum is from distilled fairy farts and unicorn droppings. Of course, silly me, fancy getting that wrong.
Yeah.
Completely not the same.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, NRT and stuff contains nicotine as well, so what's the difference?
Well, there isn't any, is there? You know, we all know there isn't any. You know, it all kind of goes back to this continuum of risk argument, where cigarettes, or continuum of risk of addiction, whereby cigarettes are one end and nicotine patches are the other. So nicotine patches are not considered to be at all addictive. Cigarettes are supposed to be highly addictive, and e-cigarettes are somewhere in between. Well, you know, I think most of us would think, based on our own experience, that e-cigarettes are much further towards the nicotine patch end than the cigarette patch end, and particularly for never smokers.
Yeah.
You know, I do think that anybody who's been a smoker has a tendency to dependency on nicotine, and that's possibly not a popular view within the vaping community, but I know that I'm dependent on nicotine, and that's because I was a smoker. But whether it's has the potential to addict never smokers, I think is a whole different argument, and again, it's something that we'll never know because nobody will ever get ethics approval to study it.
There's been some study.
Sorry.
I was going to say there's been some study done on that. It's a while ago when they were looking at bringing in the nicotine patch and stuff like that. They wanted to know what the effects were, and also when they were looking at the action of nicotine on both Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. And they discovered that with pure nicotine delivered via the patch or via gum, neither addicted. At the end of the study, all of the participants just walked away, never smoked, never went to the gum, never went to the patches. They were all good.
That's right. That's right. I know those studies. The difficulty with those studies is that they weren't designed to assess addiction. It was just a sort of a one question at the end of the study: are you still on the patches? No, you know. So because the study wasn't designed to detect an addiction, then that's why that study gets thrown out. So really what needs to happen, because you'll never get ethics approval to try it on never smokers for that purpose, if anybody ever does a study like that again, they need to design a few better questions at the end to assess the addictive, you know, the possibility of addiction.
Yes, it's one of those, it's one of the unknowns that's never likely to be known, isn't it, really?
Exactly.
Oh, that famous phrase from the EU.
What, we just don't know?
Yes, the unknown known.
It's the only time they can say we just don't know and actually be telling the truth. The rest of the time, they're lying through their teeth.
But wasn't there a percentage given out about never smokers and e-cigs?
Yeah, but I mean, it's less than 1%, wasn't it? Were never smoking, certainly among young people populations, was less than 1%.
It's 0.02%.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah.
Which is actually, it's in the noise. It's a statistical error.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, the chances of anybody that's never smoked getting addicted to e-cigs or taking up an e-cig habit, as it were, is next to nothing, basically.
Well, that's what all the surveys are saying at the moment. So, I mean, no doubt they'll continue to monitor it. I suppose the more mainstream they go, the more people are more likely to think, well, I'll have a go at that. So you could see an uptick, but at the same time, with it being virtually harmless, well, so what?
Well, that's another way to look at it, isn't it?
Well said, Sarah.
Yeah. There is that point. I mean, people who have never smoked, if they take up e-cigs, it's basically harmless anyway. So
It's no different to me starting drinking coffee, is it? Or, you know,
Oh,
anybody
you
starting
can't
drinking
do that. It's full of caffeine. I mean, good Lord,
It's
woman,
got
caffeine's
10,000 chemicals.
it's an addictive drug, and it's worse than that. It's got that dihydrogen monoxide in it, and that's deadly stuff.
Awful.
yes.
People drown in it.
Stuff.
Oh, I need a drink now. Take some adverts while I have a drink, for God's sake.
Yes, I think we'll have the first set of adverts now.
Often imitated, never duplicated. Award-winning service and products from cloud9vaping.co.uk.
Dripper selection boxes now come in 0 and 3mg strengths. So tell Dripper the kind of flavours you like and we'll send you 70ml of some of the world's most exciting flavours every month. With free delivery anywhere in Europe, treat yourself to a Dripper box today.
Dripper.co.uk.
And welcome back. We're talking to Sarah Jakes and DD about the recent Lancet article. And we're not very impressed with it, are we? Not very impressed with it at all.
I'm not.
No, Dave's not either. Neither is Sarah, are you, Sarah?
No, not in the slightest.
It's basically pouring a lot of doubt on the Public Health England report that recently came out, and it's going to make the general public think even less of e-cigs at a time when we were climbing a slope of positivity, basically.
Do you know, I'm not even sure it'll have that effect, Keef. I'm pretty
Are you
sure.
not?
No, I'm pretty sure the general public's got a little bit more sense behind them than that. I mean, I know common sense is in short supply, but they're going to look at that, and when they read through and see that there's no evidence put there to counter it, that what it is an anonymous ad hominem attack on people who have the best interests of the public health at heart, when you start talking about an edifice as big as Public Health England, they're all right, yes, they do put some daft things like, oh, it's sunny today, put some factor on, or it's raining, take an umbrella.
Don't eat the daffodils.
Yeah. But I mean, but even so, they are aware that those people are trying to do the right thing. And when, let's face it, the majority of the public are not going to read the Lancet. They will read the shit sheets.
That's true. You're right there, the majority of the public don't read the Lancet.
No. And even if they've read the Guardian piece, they're going to read that through and think, well, hang on a minute, you know, just a sec. Scientists are scientists. And what Sarah was saying is right. I mean, you know, when we were talking to vendors up in Scotland and when I've been talking to vendors down here, they've all told me exactly the same thing. They are seeing much greater footfall through the doors, even after the Lancet piece. I think we finally turned a corner here. I think that the great British public has finally realised that there are people out there who have an ideological objection to e-cigs, and they've realised that they're being lied to. And I think the Welsh public will realise that they're being lied to by the likes of Mark Drakeford. And certainly everybody I've been speaking to lately has all said the same thing. Well, hell, they're 95% safer, son, so I am going to get one. Then I was young and hell. That's what they've been saying to me.
Well, I mean, even in the Lancet article towards the end of that, it does say that e-cigs do have a part to play in curbing tobacco use.
Well, that's like an each-way bet, isn't it? You know, that's how many horses are there in the race? 3. Oh well, I'll back them each way then. I'll have £1 on each to win. That's all that. They're just watching their arses, because come the fateful day, the date of guilty knowledge has well passed, and they're aware of that. And if they go too far, they know at some point that somebody is going to serve them with a writ and they're going to end up in court. That, in my view, is why this piece was done anonymously by Dickie Boy.
Yes.
And, you know, as far as I'm concerned, if you haven't got the guts to put your name to it, you've got to be telling porky pies. And I think people will see through that. And if they don't, I'll tell them. We all should. That's why we're here.
And we will.
We shall. Sarah will. She's dead good at that. Put a mic in her hand and she's brilliant.
I love telling people.
Sarah is very good at that. We can all agree on that.
She won't let you try her t-shirt on though.
I think Dave's right though, that this was a kind of I don't know, the swan song for a dying ideology, really. You know, I mean, what else have they got now? There just isn't anything else, is there?
Well, of course, yes, it is. Look, it's identical to a cigarette. Look, you can see just by looking at it.
Yeah.
It's identical to a cigarette.
Look at mine.
Same as this one too. Yeah, exactly. They all look like cigarettes.
Yeah. And now look. This is. Does this look like I'm smoking a fag?
Go on, Dave.
Oh God, here we go.
Does it? Does it look like I'm smoking a fag? Does it buggery?
A very, very big fag, yeah.
Snoop Doggy Dogg couldn't get that out of a fag.
No, I doubt if he could. But yeah, I think you're right. I think that is like they're dying on the back and then they're just screaming out whatever they can to try and slag us off, basically.
Well, if we applied their screen test to the tobacco industry to them, they are screaming like little bitches now, which means we've got them on the ropes by their own screen test. They are hoisted by their own petard by using their figures against them. They just don't bloody like it. I'm thrilled, I am. And as far as I'm concerned, the Lancet can go and shove its editorial where the sun doesn't shine.
Yes.
Indeed,
I would take a run up and push it there.
Yeah, and PHE deserve all due credit for doing what they did. You know, they probably knew that it would provoke controversy. They probably knew that the brown stuff was going to hit the fan.
Yeah, definitely.
But you know, they realised the importance of getting the right message out there, and that's what they did.
And I think it's had the desired effect.
Yes, well, certainly from what the shops are saying, definitely.
Yes. That's marvellous. I love the idea of more people taking vaping up.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Makes
the army bigger.
Yes. And it means events like Sunday in the land of the Scots will be even better attended.
Yeah.
And talking about the land of the Scots, Dave. Nice segue there. Thank you for that, by the way, Dave.
You're welcome.
You were there on Sunday, weren't you, mate?
Yes, I was. So was Sarah and Andy and nearly 200 more people.
Yes.
There might even have been some video shot, you know.
There might have been, yeah. And I think we We have that, don't we, producer Bob? Right, can you play that for us, producer Bob?
It's Sunday morning, it's 11:05, and I'm setting away for Glasgow to the School of Vape 2, would you believe? On the way to Glasgow for Vape School 2, really looking forward to seeing everybody up there. Andy Morrison, Sarah Jakes, both attending on behalf of the NNA, as am I, and apparently I'm on my hind legs and speaking at 5. I'll come back to you later in the journey, once this woman's shut up, when I hit the A69. I'm visiting Glasgow to visit, probably, I'm told, around about 250 Scottish vapers who will be descending for Vape School 2, which, Google it, Google Vape School 2, or if anybody's watching in the UK that has a link, stick a link up on Twitter please, so people can follow it. I don't know whether you can get links out of Periscope, probably not. And yeah, it'll be fun being with a whole load of like-minded people, a whole load of vapers in Glasgow, in the Drury Bar and Grill, D-R-U-R-Y, Drury Bar and Grill. Coming in, I'm here now in Glasgow, right at School of Vapes is where I'm at, and that was a terrible Scottish accent, but look, people all over the place. There's Twinkle with Legs, Sarah Jakes.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Glasgow School of Vape. Can everybody hear me?
There's an announcement, have a listen.
There's about 3 people, can everybody hear me? Yeah! Right, we're going to be doing our first giveaway here, so registration is closed at the moment for our first giveaway. I'm just going to be giving away a few items, but before I do that, can I please advise everybody, New Nicotine Alliance, NNA, they have a stand here midway up the venue. They are selling wristbands. The proceeds of these wristbands go towards NNA so that they can lobby on our behalf against the vape laws that are due to come in at the end of next year. If anybody is unaware of these laws, TVD, if you go up and have a wee talk with the guys from NNA, they will fill you in on fighting for the laws that will affect the way you vape.
on the A69, heading back towards Mackham Land, the land of the Mackhams. Bottom line on it is, it has been an absolutely mental day, and mental in a good way. It's been an absolute delight to have been in Glasgow at the Drury Bar and Kitchen. Just an absolute delight. Met some absolutely marvellous people. Had a great time at an event that was, I think, extremely well run. Timings and everything spot on. Vendor raffles all the way through the day, giveaways all the way through the day. Good grub, good crack, and from the point of view of being a trustee of the New Nicotine Alliance, my thanks, amazing thanks. During the course of today in Glasgow, over £710 raised for the New Nicotine Alliance, with around about 200 vapers there, I suppose. Absolutely fabulous, completely and utterly amazing. I cannot express my thanks enough, and the commitment of vapers there as well to do what needs to be done to help avoid Article 20. I am, as I say, blown away by the welcome that we've had. I don't really know how to put it into words. Let's just say I'm bonny and pleased I went. Aye, you know.
LP Vape, UK purveyor of e-cigarettes and e-liquids. Proud sponsors of vaping entertainment on Vapor Trails TV.
And we are back. Hope you enjoyed that little video. As you saw, that was Dave and Very Boring and Sarah Jakes up in Scotland enjoying themselves. And I see, Dave and Sarah, you had a good time up there in Scotland.
Absolutely, it was fabulous. I can honestly say it's the best vape party I've ever been to.
Really?
You know, it was. I mean, the idea behind the event, when they originally had the idea, was to get experienced vapors together with perhaps new vapors, and to share tips, teach each other stuff. Well, obviously the experienced vapors teaching the new vapors, and so they've got a swaps table and a recoiling table where they can teach people to recoil. They do raffles and competitions. There was supposed to be a cloud competition, but that got cancelled for reasons we'll probably get into in a bit. But that's the idea behind it, and I have to say it worked like a dream. I know Colin, who organised it, was very nervous about how the event was going to go. It's only the second one.
Yeah.
And he was very nervous about, you know, whether people would turn up. He got, I think, 5 vendors. I think there was 5 vendor tables there. In a beautiful venue, the Drury Kitchen, I think it was called.
Yes, Drury Kitchen and Bar.
Yeah, was a lovely venue to have it in, although it was underground, so it was always going to get foggy, which it did. But the event just was amazing. You know, people mingling, people helping each other. You know, from an NNA point of view, I thought we were going along just to kind of drum up some support and, you know, talk to people and try and find a few people who were perhaps interested in the advocacy thing.
Yeah.
The welcome that we got was astonishing. You know, really quite overwhelming. In that, you know, people were interested. They were coming up asking us questions. How can we join as supporters? They were picking up. We got some leaflets that told people what it was all about. You know, and they were coming up, picking that up, reading it, asking us questions about it. Really, really engaged. Which, when you think back to things like, you know, Vape Jam and even Vape Fest to a certain extent. Yeah. It's kind of new territory for me. You know, the responsiveness and the generosity of the Scottish vapors and vendors who were there really just knocked me over. You know, it really did.
You did a talk there, didn't you, Sarah?
No, I left that to Dave.
All right, Dave did the talk.
Yeah, he dragged me in. He dragged me in for the last bit, which was to to tell them how they could give us money. But Dave did the rabble rousing.
All right, over to you then,
Yeah.
Dave. You did the talk.
Yeah.
Rabble rousing? What rabble rousing?
Yeah, you're you know what I mean.
Oh, listen, I mean, look, the bottom, and yes, I'm wearing my seatbelt, everybody.
Safety first, Dave.
Safety first, something else second, whatever, I don't know. Who the hell cares? Oh, bollocks. It's coming, it's gone. It's gone. Seatbelt's gone. I was actually quite surprised at the response, because I did go a little bit hard. I really did. And told everybody that basically what they had with them, because there was nobody there using sealed systems or cigarettes, that nothing would be available. And you could see the fear in the eyes, and you could see the realisation that this actually isn't a game. This is serious. And like Sarah, I was amazingly gratified at the number of people that came up and asked questions to get clarification. Why are they doing this? What can we do to stop it? What do we need to do? And we came to the realisation, and it hadn't occurred to me until I was driving up there, but there is a political party that's quite prominent in Scotland in terms of seats in Westminster, whose intention is to create havoc, absolute havoc. Oh, right, hang on. Try clicking on Keef. Am I coming through? Has it all gone to hell?
I can hear you.
Yes, I can hear you all right.
Okay, that's great, lovely. Sorry about that. Yeah, as I was driving up, I realised that there is, as I say, a political party in Scotland, the SNP, whose intention is to create havoc in Westminster, as I see it. So I asked all the Scots up there if they could go and see their Member of Parliament, their SNP Member of Parliament, and get them, as we said last week on Thursday, to write to Jeremy Hunt or Jane Ellison and ask the question, would the Department of Health be prepared to refuse to implement the TPD, which they can do. There is a mechanism for that. Because, of course, if we get 650 odd people writing that letter to Jeremy Hunt and Jane Ellison, and they'll have to write to each other, of course, that's going to create all kinds of ructions, and at least we'll get our voices heard, and it might do something to help. And that was taken extremely well. But I mean, the amount of money that Sarah, I'm going to let you talk about the money, because that's just blown me away. It really has.
Yeah, it was incredible. I mean, you know, we didn't go up there to raise funds. It wasn't a fundraising event for NNA. We took the wristbands because Andy said that he thought a lot of people would like to, you know, to have a wristband and make donations to get a wristband. And sure enough, you know, we did sell quite a few wristbands. But then about halfway through or something, Andy came back to the table and said, "You'll never believe what's happening." And what had happened was the vendors who were there and a reviewer called Vapor Vic had donated items to put into an auction. And so they auctioned, I don't know, well, Dave was the auctioneer, and they auctioned, I don't know, probably 7 or 8 lots, was it, Dave? Something like that?
It was something like that, yeah. I lost count.
Yeah, you know, because every time we kind of came to the end of the lots, somebody would put up another lot. And there was one guy there, I can't remember, was his name John? I can't remember now. He was a vapor.
Was Tom?
Tom. He won.
He's Geezer Butler on Twitter.
No, the little guy.
Yeah, Geezer Butler on Twitter.
Right. Well, whoever he is, he won 3 or 4 of the lots, and then put the whole lot back in for re-auction. So that all got auctioned again. So we had a tot up, and we were now up to about £650. And as we thought it was all ending, somebody else chucked some more stuff in for auction right at the end. And the long and the short of it was we ended up with £715 and 80p.
Very
all
nice.
All raised for NNA by Scottish Vapors, and most of that off the cuff, you know, out of the goodness of the hearts of the people who were there. And you know, it just blew me away. It was incredible.
If anybody ever turns around and tells you when you're talking to them that Scots are tight, trust me, do not. They are the most generous people on the face of the planet. We couldn't have been welcomed any better than we were. I mean, seriously, it was cuddles all round, from blokes as well as women. I was happy as Larry, I was. And then to dig into their pockets and to raise that amount of money is just utterly fabulous. I can't get my hat on with it. And somebody did say, was Dave getting a bit emotional in that video? Yes, I was. And you would too. Because, I mean, you know, they don't know us from Adam, I don't know them from Adam, but they know what we're fighting for and that we're all in it together. Oh God, I'm starting to sound like David Cameron. But, you know, we're all vapors and we're all fighting for... They're not going to take our freedom. That's basically where it's at, and that's exactly where they were at. And I think the venue was absolutely superb. But the 3rd floor, I didn't realise. I thought it was a fish shop, but apparently it wasn't, was it, Sarah?
No, it wasn't. It was a gentleman's club. A strip joint.
Oh, a gentleman's club.
A strip joint. So it got to about 8 o'clock, and poor Colin had to make an announcement over the PA to say that he'd got to shut his event early because the strip club 2 floors above was full of vape, and therefore they couldn't open, and they were insisting on a health and safety risk assessment on the paper. Now, unfortunately, whereas normally you'd just tell them to bog off, the bloke who owns the strip club owns the whole building, So
Oh,
the
right.
bar that we were in was leased from him, so it had to be dealt with properly and with kid gloves. So Colin ran up there with Colin had actually hired 2 massive turbo fan things for the bar to try and keep the vapour down. So he took those up to the strip club, and before he even plugged them in, they realised that they'd forgotten to turn their air conditioning on. And they turned their air conditioning on, and all of the vapour that had got in there, I mean, don't ask me how it got in there anyway, but all of it that was in there was gone in 10 seconds. So it was disaster averted.
There's a lesson there for venues, isn't there? If you've got aircon, put it on, bring the vapors in and make some money. Because I'm going to tell you now, I'm betting there was 3 or 4 grand went over the bar. Easily.
Oh, yeah. Easily.
No, that wouldn't surprise me. And wouldn't the strip club have saved a bit of money on using a fog machine?
You'd have thought so, wouldn't
Exactly. Exactly. Probably improved the view.
Well, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, let's not go too far, Sarah. I mean, if you got well, I suppose that there is the beneficial byproduct that if you can't see, you've got to find your way by touch, haven't you?
Yeah. But I mean, all kudos to everybody involved in raising that money for NNA. That was absolutely brilliant. Absolutely
big thank you to Colin Robertson. Organised. It's called Glasgow School of Vape, and this was the second one. He organised it, and he did a fantastic job. You know, everybody there had a brilliant time from what I could see, and we certainly did. I'll definitely be going up for the next one, and I recommend everybody else does too.
Oh, good Lord, yes! If you're anywhere closer, if you can get there, go. I mean, one of the, aside from every announcement Colin made, he asked everybody to come to the NNA table, which was fabulous. Quite often, you could hear it going, "Do you want another pint?" And I heard that so often. All around, you know, there was none of this. I'm slinking off by him. Do you want another pint? Are you having a drink? Come on, your glass is empty. I'm going to the bar. What do you want? And it was just fabulous. Absolutely, take shed loads of money and go. It's worth it. Has to be, hasn't it, Sarah?
Absolutely, it's right by Glasgow.
Glasgow Central Station. It's very close to Glasgow Central Station. It's a bit of a bugger to drive to. It's down a one-way street, but it's once you're there, there's free parking outside. I was parked outside. Sarah trained in, I think, with Andy because she stayed up with Andy Morrison overnight. Andy, who's up there being NNA in Scotland, he could do with some help as well, actually, if there's anybody watching in Scotland that fancy giving him a hand. Are you back, Sarah?
Doesn't look like it.
That's a no then.
Yes, Andy Morrison could definitely do with a hand up there in Scotland if anybody can help him.
Although I'm going to say he's done a hell of a job so far.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Just imagine what they could achieve with 2 or 3 more folks giving them a bit of a hand out. It was I cannot praise highly enough what happened on Sunday. It was absolutely fabulous, amazing. Just I don't have the words. I can't find the superlatives. I had a whale of a time, and as I said last night on Periscope on the way home, if they were doing it again today, I'd have gone.
I would too.
I mean, apart from the NNA side of it, what was the rest of the event like? I mean, there was, as you say, there was coil building and people teaching newer vapors how to build coils and stuff.
Yeah, groups of people sat around chatting, mingling. The cloud competition was cancelled because of the stripper incident. They thought that was probably pushing their luck. Yeah. Which was a bit of a shame because DD was going to, I hear, going to enter.
Who me? I never blow clouds.
No, of course not. Yeah, you know, the vendors were just brilliant. You know, they seemed to be doing roaring trade, but you know, they were handing stuff out and letting people try stuff. It was just an all-round, you know, good event, and you couldn't get to the bar without somebody offering you a drink.
Yeah, it's true. I've just noticed vaping with Vic is in chat. He's there.
Thank you.
Vic, kudos, man. You are a hero. You are a hero.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Kudos to Vaping Vic for everything you did at that event. Thank you.
Yeah.
So yes, I'll reiterate what I said. Go. I think they're going to try and do it quarterly. I'm driving up and down for everyone. You can't not go. Fabulous welcome, lovely place. And if you want to stay over the weekend, there's some amazing things to see in Glasgow. I sound like bloody tourist information. Look, it's very friendly. The Scots are marvellous people. You'll have a whale of a time at Vape School. And you never know, you might see Sarah and she might let you try our t-shirt on.
You never know.
If you're lucky. And you might even see Andy Morrison in his fabulous hats as well.
Yes, I need to say thank you to Andy as well, because Andy gave me his spare room. I was Andy's guest last night.
How the hell did you get that on the aeroplane home?
I'd have took his cat home.
Lorian's asking were there many new vapors there. Yes, there was quite a few actually.
Yeah.
There's quite a few. One of the things that I particularly liked was the raffles they do. It's a free raffle when you come in, but they split you. When you sign in, when you register, they say, are you a new to intermediate or intermediate to advanced? And the new to intermediates go into one bucket and the intermediates to advanced go in another. And then there's a third part of the ticket that goes into, this is just the giveaways and we don't care. So they're doing the draws that are aimed at new vapors, and there was a fair few new vapors in there. New to intermediate. It was lovely to see. You could see the progression of people from I've been at this for 3 or 4 weeks or a couple of months right through to, the old stages, and just fabulous to behold. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I wish it had been longer. It should have been 4 days.
I mean, it sounds to me like it was very, very well organised.
It was. Absolutely. Absolutely, but a lot of it was the attitude as well. Everybody there's attitude was, to help and support people, and not just NNA. And anybody who just needed tips, needed a bit of help, people were on hand. On hand there to give them the information they needed, and they were willing to do it. And a lot of people had sort of cottoned on to the fact that when the TPD comes in, the police aren't going to come along and take this away, and they would say, it's not so much about us, it's about all those people who still haven't had the chance to do what we did.
Yeah.
And it was really refreshing to hear that come across in so many comments.
It was marvellous.
I think what needs to happen is for people around the country to get in touch with the organisers of that event and get some tips on how to organise a similar event in different parts of the country and do the same thing, if you know what I mean. Yeah,
it would be super to see that sort of thing done in more places. But it might just be a Scottish thing, I don't know. I don't know.
And maybe have School of Vapes in different parts of the country.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, it's a different beast to something like Vape Fest. Vape Fest is, if you like, the biggie.
Yeah.
But there would still be room at, say, Vape Fest to have a School of Vape tent.
Oh yeah.
Where people could go and pick up tips, and if enough people volunteered to man the tent, to show people how to coil, to show how show people all the different, all their different gadgets. Let them try them. A swap table was another thing, because obviously, when vapors move on to new devices, quite often, I mean, I don't know how many things I've got here that are just redundant. That had I not have been flying up to Glasgow just with hand luggage, I could have took up there and literally just given to people.
Yes.
Same here.
I'll be doing that at the next one. Check through all the gear I've got that works that I don't use, and take a whole load of beginnery stuff up for beginners.
Yeah.
And get people to bring a friend would be good. And did you notice how many people thought that Very Boring was wearing a fur bonnet? he was standing there holding his mod, and everybody thought he was wearing a fur bonnet, because they were coming up and going, "What the fox hat?"
It's
true.
Well, I'm looking at the clock, and it looks as if we've come to the end of our allotted time.
Mm.
So I think we're going to have to wrap it up there.
Okay.
Wrap it up.
Yes, wrap it up.
Yes.
You do one of those. Wrap it up.
I'm getting Sarah. How many of these wristbands have you got left?
I think, looking at the bag, probably about 40 or 50.
People need to get them. I've discovered they look absolutely amazing in pairs like that. 10 quid. 10 quid and you can look handsome like that. You can say, Wonder Woman.
I've got mine, look. I've still got mine.
Yes, I've got one as well.
Yeah.
I'm not wearing it at the moment, but I have got one.
I will stick them back on eBay.
Yes, people in chat, if you haven't got one, get one. Or two. No, two.
Two. Oh, and by the way, as I've been made aware, Stanton Glance must be watching.
Must he?
Because he's tweeted a whole load of sherbet. That's the word we're looking for.
Sherbet's the word you're looking for, and it's now time to say goodnight, people.
Yes, right. Come on then. Thanks very much for joining us, Sarah.
It's my pleasure, Keith.
It's been great having you on the show tonight.
Thank you. It's been great being here.
And thank you as well, Dave.
Oh, my great pleasure, Bunny lad. I've thoroughly enjoyed myself tonight. Thanks for inviting me on, and thanks for a bloody good show, mate.
Thank you very much.
That video was crap, though.
No, I enjoyed that video actually, especially the driving bits. Right, so if you could both say your goodbyes, please.
Goodbye.
Your goodbyes, please.
Yes.
Bye, bye, bye.
And thanks everybody for watching. We will catch you same time next week. Bye bye.